What's the Chow Chinchows JoesphGames here, and welcome to week 10 of the WSS The World Showdown Series. This week we are up against Dankiki and of course his Roseradenborgs. This is going to be an interesting matchup to say the least, because the fact is this team is straight up power. This team is scary as hell. Darude, I had to encourage Darude to even try and attempt to build a team to beat this. I don't even know if it's even possible to beat this team, but I have to try, ladies and gentlemen. And I had to encourage Darude that we are going to try. So, it is time. Darude is not here today because, well, it's a little early that I'm recording this, first off. And B, most importantly, he's got things to deal with in his own life. He's gone on holiday soon, he's got exams, I didn't really want to burden him with being part of the team builder for a team he was a little intimidated by. So, let's take a look at this team. Hopefully Darude will be back in the next few weeks for some of the matchups, hopefully. Anyway, so let's take a look at this team. So we start off with Medicham. Mega Medicham is a very scary mon to deal with. It can get a lot of hard moves to deal with. It is a very scary mon. It literally counters my entire team. I have a few ideas of how to get around it, but it's still a counter to my team, and I don't really like it very much. Medicham is so goddamn scary. And then he has Landorus. I think this is Landorus Fearum form. I can't remember is that the Krow? What is the Fearum form of Landorus? Hang on. Pokemon without evolutions. I have to look this up every time, and I've used Pokemon DB to do that. Okay, so it would be Fearum form, which is... oh, it's that form. Oh dear. Yeah, this is Fearum form, so yes, scary mons are scary mons. You can tell why it's a scary mon. It's got 9 kills this season. It's a very scary mon to deal with, is Landorus. Landorus on its own is a very scary mon to deal with, but the fact that he has the Fearum form, which does allow for things like Intimidate and Sheer Force to be a thing. With the Incarnate form, we don't allow things like Intimidate or Sheer Force. We only allow Sand Force in the Incarnate form, but in this form, we allow it all. So this is scary as hell to deal with. So yeah, we have a few counters. It's not really... It can't take a lot of hits, but it's still a very scary mon, and it's very scary to deal with. Then we have Volcanion. Volcanion is a very interesting mon as well. If it can get off Quivers, you should worry. You should worry if it can get off a Quiver Dance. You should worry. And that thing is very scary to deal with as well. With Bug Buzz and Fiery Dance and Flamethrower and Fire Blast and Hurricane and all the moves it can get. It's very, very scary mon. I don't like Volcanion. Oh, wait. Yeah, I don't like Volcanion. I don't like it. Really don't. Really don't like Volcanion. Wait, why was I explaining the other one? Right, Volcanion is a very scary mon to deal with. Steam Eruption, Fire Blast. These are things that you'd have to deal with, and they're very, very scary. I was explaining the other mon. That was also a volcano. Yeah, but this is a really scary mon to deal with, so sorry about that. I get mixed up between the two. Anyway. Then we have Diggersby. Diggersby is a very interesting mon to deal with. It's not scary, to say the truth, but it is powerful, and it is a little hacksy. It can be built very defensively, and it does do some interesting moves with Return and Earthquake and stuff like that. That's the way I've used it before in battles, and it's not a bad mon to deal with, but it's very scary to deal with. It can have things like cheek pouches. If you want to be a haxy, you could run a berry, and then you could run cheek pouches, and then you could use recycle to get that berry back. And you just continue to do that throughout the entire battle, especially if you're very bulky Diggersby. So, yeah. Scary mons. Then we have Rotom Heat. Rotom Heat is a very scary mon as well. Overheat is scary, but it does drop his special attack by 2 stages. So it swings and roundabouts in a way. But it does do a lot of damage here, and it can work pretty nicely for him. So yeah, interesting. Then we have Cobalion. Cobalion is an interesting one as well. Good steel fighting type. Good powerful moves with things like Sacred Sword and everything. Also, good close combat user. Good Iron Head. Good anything that comes in with a fairy type, you can probably deal with it because, you're steel. And the fact is you have Iron Head. So, yeah, very scary mon. Then we have Cresselia. Cresselia has not been brought to a battle, but it is. I think it's one of the bulkiest mons in the Pokemon game. It is a very bulky mon. It can be Haxy with It can be Haxy with Moonlight. It can use psychic moves. It gets Moonblast. It is a very scary mon to deal with. It is a wall. It is a literal brick wall, but it has never been bought, so that's interesting too. Then we have Cresselia. Then we have Kyurem, and this is normal Kyurem. Kyurem is an interesting mon to deal with too, and being both ice and dragon, it resists dragon type moves that go against it, so it's hard to deal with, but it's an interesting mon to deal with. There are counters to Kyurem. It's a very hard mon to counter, but it is possible to counter it. So there are ways around it. Then we have Azelf. Azelf is probably the best Lake Spirit Pokemon to have in a League format. Mist Spirit and Uxie are kind of awful when it comes down to it. Azelf is the one you want. And Azelf is a very scary mon to deal with for those reasons. It can bring hacks, it can Thunder Wave, it can do a lot of damage with things like Psychic, it can do a lot of damage, it can be bulky, it can do a load of things. It's a very scary mon to deal with. So yeah, Azelf, not cool. Then we have the fact that he can use a Groundium Z. If he wanted to, he could put the Groundium Z on that Landorus, and that would be very scary to deal with Tectonic Rage. Yeah, that's not cool. You could also put it on the Diggersby too. That's also not cool. I don't think you could recycle a Z crystal so you could use it more than once though. So that would be too much. That would be too OP. If you could recycle a Z crystal so you could use it again, yeah, that'd be not cool. Then we have, so now we're looking at his points picks. He has Greninja. Greninja is an interesting mon. This is just normal Greninja with its normal move, which I can't remember for the top. Torrent, isn't it? Yeah, I think it's Torrent. I think Greninja's normal ability is Torrent. Yeah, Torrent. Protean is not allowed, and neither is Battle Bond in this league, so Torrent is going to be interesting to deal with. It does bring him some weaknesses, but it also does say that his mon is a very scary mon to deal with here. So yeah, Greninja is interesting. Greninja is kind of cool, but there are ways to beat normal Greninja, so I'm going to try it. Then we have Escavalier. Escavalier is it's an interesting mon. It's a good steel type, good bug type, can do some serious work, but other than that, not really too much about it. So, yeah, it's only been bought once. So, yeah, it's an interesting mon to deal with. Then we have Melodic. Melodic is a very scary mon to deal with. It's bulky as hell. It can do some damage with things like Dragon Pulse, and it can do Scald pretty nicely, but it's also a very scary mon to deal with because it is a literal wall. Then we have Comfey. I don't really know too much about Comfey, but I guess maybe I can look this up because Comfey is an interesting mon. Again, I don't know too much about Gen 7 mons. So, Comfey is a Gen 7 mon I don't know too much about. Where is he? Comfey. There he is. Okay, so Comfey is a fairy type, has Flower Veil, Triage, and Nature Cure as its hidden abilities. It has some good special defense with some very good speed. Get some interesting moves. Looking at it, but I don't really know what he's planning with this. It's really hard to figure out what he would be planning with this. It's just a very, very bulky mon. That's all I can think about it, really. It being especially bulky and a good fairy type to deal with mons, but it does have its weaknesses. We can bring steel against it. We could bring fire. We could bring fire against it. We could bring poison against it. It is beatable, and we'll try and do what we can against it to see what happens here. Now, going into my team for this week, the first thing I want to talk about is a couple of weeks back, we had a week off, and during this time, we were allowed to bring on Mons to the team, and we didn't have to wait a week in order to bring them on. This was about week 7. Anyway, so yeah, I bought a new Mon onto the team, and today we're going to see how it works. So let's see that new Mon we just bought onto the team. We bought onto the team WSS folder. Transactions, here we are. We bought Abigail. Abigail is an interesting Pokemon. It is, of course, it's Gothitelle. Gothitelle is a very good Pokemon, and the fact is, Gothitelle gets 3 good abilities. It gets Frisk, which means we can find out what items people have. We have Competitive. This Pokemon's special attack is raised by 2 if its status is lowered by a foe, which is very interesting. We could run that a couple of weeks. But the most important move that we're going to run, and the move we're running this week, is Shadow Tag. Shadow Tag locks our opponent into battle and prevents them from switching. So that is probably the moveset we'll be running most weeks, because Mons we are scared of, we can just lock in and try and destroy. And the fact is, we also have a good Destiny Bonder here. We also have a good Calm Minder. It gets Dark Pulse, Energy Ball. We can foul play things that have an amazing attack stat, so physical attackers beware. We can Heal Bell. We can Grass Knot, so things that are bulky we can deal with. Beware of that too. So there's ways to deal with things. We could Light Screen. We could Mirror Coat, Magic Coat. I think we can Mirror Coat too. But yeah, it's a very interesting Mon. We can Reflect. We could Rest. There's a lot of good moves. We could even set up a sub. We could Sleep Talk when we're resting. There's a lot. We can Taunt. Ooh, you're a good Taunter. That'd be good. Toxic is a thing. We could Toxic things. We could Thunder Wave. So we could bring the hacks, and we could do some serious damage with Gothitelle on the team as well. But the thing about Gothitelle is we can lock it into battle, and no one can switch out on it, and that's pretty cool. Fact is, though, it's also quite scary because I tried to run this strategy with Wobbuffet in the IBL. It didn't work out that well for me in the end. But then again, Gothitelle can actually run some actual moves. Wobbuffet could not. So I'm happier to have Gothitelle than I would have if we had Wobbuffet on the team again. I would not like to have Jessie on the team again. I like having Abigail. So that is Abigail, and that's all I'm going to say about Abigail. Today, we're going to look at today's team. So let's have a look at today's team that is possibly going to have the struggles of beating the Roseradenborgs. So let's take a look at this team. We start off with Suicune. Then we go to Nidoking, Exuntry, Breloom, Mega Bayonet, and Gothitelle. So let's have a look at these Mons in more detail as I zoom in again. Okay, so let's take a look at these Mons. So we start off with Runner. Runner is our Suicune, and Runner this week is using the moves Toxic, Scald, Protect, and Substitute with the leftovers and Pressure for the ability. If we're talking investments, we have 248 in HP, 252 in defense, and 8 in special defense. So with this move set, we're trying to be bulky because we've got the bold nature. We're trying to take some hits. We can set up a sub and take some more hits. We can protect, so we can set up behind the sub. We can also Toxic to stall people out, and we can Scald to do major damage. And that's what Suicune is all about. Then we have Charles. Charles has been an interesting Mon for me. I'm definitely thinking about drafting Nidoking again in the upcoming IBL draft. It's a very interesting Mon. I like Charles. Charles is pretty cool. I like Charles. Anyway, this week we're running Charles with a Life Orb and Sheer Force for the ability with the moves Earth Power, Ice Beam, Flamethrower, and Sludge Wave. If we're talking investments, we have 252 in special attack, 252 in speed, and 4 in special defense. So we're hoping that a timid nature with 252 in speed will outspeed outspeed some of his team, and of course, hopefully it will. We can do things like Earth Power and Ice Beam to do some serious damage, especially Ice Beam against that Landorus. That would be really cool to do if we're stuck in on the Landorus. Hopefully we won't be stuck in on the Landorus. If anyone I want to be stuck in on the Landorus, it's going to be Runner, because Runner could take the hits from Landorus and of course deal it out too. So hopefully, Charles isn't in there when Landorus is about. So Charles can do some serious work too, and Charles has some good moves, and I like Charles. So yeah, that's Charles this week. Then we have Extension Cord. Extension Cord this week is running a little bit of a different set than we usually run. We usually run Choice, but here we're running a Focus Sash. And this is quite an interesting thing. A Focus Sash allows us to survive with 1 HP if we get hit. So hopefully we don't get hit, but we can, if need to, we can deal with it. We are rocking a Timid Nature with 252 in speed, 252 in special attack, and 4 in special defense as well. And then we are rocking the moves Volt Switch, so we can switch out on things that deal with us, hopefully. We can't do this on Landorus, but it works pretty nicely on everything else. Then we have Dazzling Gleam, Hidden Power Ice, and Thunderbolt as well. So we have Dazzling Gleam and Hidden Power Ice to do some damage to things. We could possibly use that against Landorus. I'm not suggesting it, but, again, Suicune is the ideal choice against Landorus. But we have mons that can do something against Landorus. If necessary, we have counters, but hopefully we don't have to use them. Thunderbolt is stab, does a lot of damage. Dazzling Gleam is cool, does a lot of damage. And Volt Switch allows us to get priority and switch out, so that's pretty cool. Then we have Clubber Lang. Clubber Lang is holding a Choice Scarf this week with the Intimidate for the ability, rocking Bullet Seed, Force Palm, Rock Tomb, and Power Up Punch. With the moves, with the investments of 252 in speed, 252 in attack, and 4 in special defense. So we got 4 in special defense to hopefully take a little bit of a hit more. We got Bullet Seed to do some stab damage. We've got Rock Tomb to do some damage on lower speed. We got Power Up Punch to do some damage, and of course, make us more attacking and more powerful. And of course, then we also have Force Palm, which does a lot of damage and can have a chance to paralyze the opponent. So, good moves. Good Choice Scarf there, so we'll be locked into whatever we bring in and whatever we do. But that's okay, because we can always switch out if necessary. And it can do some serious damage whilst we're trying to switch out. So, it can do some work. I really like Clubber Lang. Clubber Lang has been an interesting one for me to use, and I would definitely think about using Breloom again. And now is the time when I start thinking about mons that I would use again. So we come onto the back end of the WSS and start of the IBL. And then we have Coco. Coco has been an interesting mon throughout the entire adventure here in the WSS. Coco should be female. But yeah, it's an interesting one, and it's worked out interestingly well. It's worked out okay. I like it, but it's very hard to deal with sometimes, and doesn't always bring what I want it to bring. Anyway, so we have a Bayonet and I, obviously, because we're Mega Bayonet. We have Curse Body because, it's the ability that allows us to run Cotton Guard, and we are running Cotton Guard this week, and without that, we can't, Without Curse Body, we can't run Cotton Guard, so we have to run it. It's an event. So Cotton Guard allows us to boost our defenses. Calm Mind allows us to boost our special defense, and of course allows us to boost our special attack as well. We got Shadow Ball to do some damage, and we got Rest to rest up and heal. We have 252 in defense, 8 in special attack, and 248 in HP. As well, rocking a Bold Nature, plussing our defense whilst lowering our attack, which is okay for this set, really, for what we're planning to do. Basically, I'm guessing Bayonet's here to take a hit, really, from some of our mons. That's basically what it is here to do. I will get onto Darude's notes after we've done the entire team, because he does have some notes for this team that I will get onto and mention this. So, Darude is sort of here in spirit. He's not here in body and soul, but he's here in spirit. I might even say it in Darude's voice that I've been using for the Galactic Lock. Anyway, so then we have Abigail. Abigail this week is a very interesting one. She'll be female. There we go. And Abigail this week has a Rocky helmet with Shadow Tag for the ability Calm Mind to set up with, Thunderbolt to do some serious damage, Psyshock to do some damage, and of course, if it has lower defense, then it's going to do more damage. And of course, we have Rest here to heal up as well. For talking investments, we have 252 in defense, 9 in special attack, and 248 in HP. I've never seen a 9 set before. That's quite interesting why we have 9 in special attack. Shouldn't it be 8? There we go. 8. Yeah, 8 in special attack. And there we go. So, yeah, we're walking the bold nature. Does some damage. It's very interesting that it can do some damage. I don't know why Darude said 9 in special attack. But yeah, it's an interesting thing. We got Thunderbolt we can do some damage with. We got Psyshock that can do some damage. We got Rest that we can bulk up and get our energy back. And of course, we can Calm Mind as well. So that is the team. Let's take a look at Darude's notes. Hey guys, it's Darude Leaf Storm here. So I really think that Darude should know that Type Null is not part of his team anymore, first off. So, the whole idea was Bayonet was to set up on Type Null. Type Null is not here. Type Null was replaced with Diggersby. So yeah, that's not always a good idea. We could set up. The whole point was he could set up on Type Null and bring in a huge potential. Not the case. We have Breloom that can do a late game sweep. And we have to watch out for Comfy, because Comfy is an interesting one to deal with. He will most likely send it in against Suicune because it does get Energy Ball, so yeah, that's a thing. And then we also have to worry about Taunt and Calm Mind. So he might try and set up on us as well. Taunt locks us into only attacking for a couple of turns, so that can be very scary to deal with too. Now let's do this in Darude's voice. Hey guys, it's Darude Leaf Storm here. If Type Null isn't there, setup Bayonet has a huge potential. Gothitelle is the ultimate Medicham check. Breloom can be a late game sweep. Watch out for Comfy which he will most likely bring against Suicune. And watch out for Calm Mind and Taunt on its moveset. There we go. That is Darude's voice saying it. So, there you go. I'm still learning. I'm still perfecting that voice. Darude, I'm not trying to be, joking or anything like that. I know how to do your voice a little bit. Anyway, so, standings. Let's take a look at them. Because they have been updated. So, yeah, let's take a look at the standings going into week 10. Okay, we start off with the Monterrey Gyarados' 8 wins, no losses, no draws, and a 28 differential. Then we have the Cape Aardvark, 7 wins, 1 loss, and a plus 27 differential. The Nijmengen Nuzleafs. Third place is the what is it? Oh, it's the Agrons. I'm just going to call them the Agrons. The Adelaide Agrons, to be precise. 6 wins, no losses, no draws, and a plus 22 differential. Okay. Then we have the Nijmengen Nuzleafs, 6 wins, 2 losses, and a plus 8 differential. Then we have the Long Island Typhlosions, 4 wins, 4 losses, no draws, and a plus 5 differential. The Miami Heatmores are in 7th place with 4 wins, 4 5 losses and a +3 differential. Then we have the Roseradenborgs, our opponents for this week, with 5 wins, 4 losses, and of course no draws, with a +2 differential. And let me check if that is correct. He has a +5 differential, actually, so it hasn't been updated a lot, but it has been updated since. Then we are here, 4 wins, 5 losses, and a -1 differential. Kind of scary to deal with, but we are right there on the brink of playoffs, and I want to either try and attempt to get something out of this, or try my hardest. Yeah, I'm going to try my hardest to get something out of this. We'll see what happens, and hopefully we'll get something. Then the Groningen Gold Ducks are in 10th place, 4 wins, 6 losses, and a +14 differential. So yeah, very scary to deal with for them. Then we have the Dublin Sea Umbreons, 3 wins, 5 losses, and a -1 differential. The Pensacola Pangoros are in 12th place with 3 wins, 6 losses, and a -11 differential. Then we have the Long Island Palpitoads in 13th place with 2 wins, 4 losses, and a -10 differential. Then we have the Blizzard Island Scizors in 14th place with 2 wins, 5 losses, 1 draw, and a +13 differential. Then we have the Worcester Warranes with 2 wins, 5 losses, 1 draw, and a -13 differential as well. And then rocking up the back is the Sea Spring Scizors, 8 losses, no wins, no draws, and a -32 differential. So I'm pretty happy in 9th place at the moment in time. I'm going to try my hardest to get into the playoffs and see what happens, but we'll honestly see what happens. We've got about 5 weeks left of this tournament, and I'm going to try my hardest to do something here in a regular season. If not, that's fine. The whole point of this was to be a learning experience, and I think I've learned a lot from this league. But until next time, I'm JoesphGames. If you enjoyed today's team builder, you can leave a like, comment, and subscribe if you're on YouTube. If you're on VidMe, you can leave an upvote, you can follow the channel, and of course, you can leave a comment over there as well. But I will see you guys on the battlefield Sunday night for the Roseradenborgs versus the Chester Chinchows. It's gonna be awesome, hopefully. Till next time, good night.